Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into the life and art of Al Wunderlich today.
Really fascinating guy.
Yeah, his journey is incredible, almost as captivating as his artwork.
I know, right? And he crossed paths with some pretty big names. Franz Klein
Oh, yeah. Willem de Kooning?
even inspired Richard Serra to, well, start sculpting.
But this isn't just about dropping names.
No, no, not at all.
Wunderlich was right there at the heart of it all,
Absolutely.
Pivotal moments in modern art history, he helped shape the scene.
He really did.
We're talking floating sculptures that, get this, respond to sound.
Oh, and those incredible art installations. The ones you can actually view underwater.
Yeah, those are wild. He even dreamed of creating an artificial aurora borealis in space.
Talk about ambitious.
So get ready, because today we're exploring how Wunderlich's personal experiences and artistic evolution intertwined with the art movements of his time.
What's really captivating about Wunderlich is that he wasn't just observing these pivotal moments. He was actually a catalyst within them.
Yeah.
His life story is like this roadmap through the evolution of modern art.
Really is.
From abstract expressionism to, well, the merging of art and technology.
It's amazing. So let's rewind all the way back.
Okay.
Salem, Oregon.
Not exactly the art capital of the world.
No, not really,
Yeah.
but that's where it all began.
Yeah, Wunderlich's upbringing in Salem actually played a pretty big role in shaping his outlook on art.
How so?
Well, he often talked about his father. He was a doctor, right?
Okay.
But instead of traditional payments, he would barter medical services with local farmers.
Really?
So you can see how that instilled in him a unique perspective on value and exchange.
Yeah, that's
This
nice.
questioning mindset, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
That would become a real hallmark of his art.
It's fascinating how those early experiences can stick with you.
Oh, they really do.
So this idea of bartering, did that directly influence his art later on?
Absolutely. That questioning spirit, that willingness to challenge traditional systems, it's woven throughout his entire body of work.
So how do we see that in his art?
Well, you see it in his rejection of, well, the commercialization of art, for one.
Makes sense.
He used unconventional materials. He constantly pushed boundaries,
Okay.
always challenging the status quo.
Right, right.
And then, of course, he moves to New York City in '58.
Wow, yeah.
Now, think about the energy of New York in the late '50s.
I bet it was electrifying.
Oh, totally. A complete contrast to Salem, right?
Definitely.
It was the new global hub for art, eclipsing even Paris.
Wow.
Abstract expressionism was exploding onto the scene, huge canvases,
Yeah.
bold colors. It was all about expressing emotion through action,
I see.
gesture, not realistic depictions at all.
Interesting.
And Wunderlich, he finds himself right in the middle of this creative explosion.
Wow, what a time to be in New York. Did he dive headfirst into the abstract expressionist movement?
Oh, he did. He thrived in that environment.
So did his work from this period have that classic abstract expressionist look?
It did. His early paintings from this time, they have that raw energy, that kind of energetic quality that really defines abstract expressionism. But, and this is important,
Yeah.
he brought his own unique perspective too.
In what way?
Well, he was fascinated by Buddhist and Hindu relief sculptures, you see. And he explored the concept of images, well, leaping off the walls.
Leaping off the walls. Interesting. So he was connecting ancient art forms to this modern movement.
Yeah, he was drawing inspiration from everywhere.
That's pretty amazing. So he's absorbing the energy of the city, the artistic movements of the time,
Yes.
even drawing inspiration from ancient art.
Exactly.
But let's talk about Wunderlich, the artist, the creator.
Okay.
What was his process like?
Well, his process was just as unconventional as his thinking.
Okay, I like that.
He'd challenge himself, give himself like 30 minutes to create a painting.
Wow, a 30-minute painting challenge.
Yeah, and he used the most interesting materials for his sculptures. Discarded drawers,
Yeah.
even toilet parts.
He used toilets in his art.
He did.
That's hilarious.
Now, this wasn't just about finding cheap materials.
Right.
It was about pushing boundaries, questioning what even constituted art in the first place.
That makes sense. There's a deeper meaning there, right?
Yeah.
This repurposing of everyday objects.
Exactly. It challenged traditional notions of what art materials should be, blurring the lines between, fine art and found objects. And, this is a thread that continues throughout his work,
Ooh,
this blending of the mundane and the extraordinary.
I see.
And speaking of blurring lines, this brings us to a pretty interesting anecdote. While he was at Cooper Union,
Okay.
Wunderlich befriended a fellow artist who would actually create art in a wedding gown.
A wedding gown.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Talk about pushing social norms and artistic boundaries. It sounds like the art scene at Cooper Union was something else.
It was. It was a breeding ground for creativity and, well, unconventionality. And Wunderlich thrived there,
Yeah.
constantly experimenting, exploring new ways of expressing himself through his art.
Right. So then he goes on to study at Yale.
Right.
Yale, that's a pretty big leap from the freewheeling energy of Cooper Union. Did that formal environment change his approach to art at all?
Yale marked a turning point in his development,
Okay.
primarily because of Joseph Albers.
Oh, Howard.
Yeah, a master of color theory.
Right.
He had a profound impact on Wunderlich.
I can see that. Color theory, though, it sounds a bit technical. Was this a move away from the raw emotion of abstract expressionism?
Not at all. Think of it as, well, adding a layer of sophistication to his already bold style.
Okay.
Albers taught him to see color not just as a decorative element, but as a powerful force that could evoke emotion and create, depth and dimension.
So Albers helped him refine his technique. But did he lose that raw energy, that spark of unconventionality?
Absolutely not. In fact, it was during this time at Yale that he had an interesting encounter with Richard Serra.
Oh, Sarah. What happened?
Well, it seems Serra was quite taken with Wunderlich's use of unconventional materials,
Right.
especially those sculptures he made from, well, discarded toilets. He even brought toilets to Wunderlich's studio.
He brought toilets to his studio. That's amazing. Who knew toilets could be such a source of artistic inspiration?
It's pretty funny, right? And you know what? That sparked Serra's own journey into sculpture.
No way. Seriously.
Seriously. So we've got Wunderlich honing his skills at Yale, refining his use of color, inspiring future art stars with plumbing fixtures. It seems like his career was already taking off.
It does, yeah.
But then he wins a Fulbright scholarship
Oh, wow. A Fulbright.
and embarks on a journey that would fundamentally change his artistic vision.
Where did he go?
India.
India. That's a world away from the galleries and classrooms of New York and Yale.
It is. He received a Fulbright to study art and architecture in India.
What drew him there?
It was there that he encountered the Sangeet temple.
Okay.
And in this temple, the Buddha was represented not by an image, but by absence.
Absence.
Yes, this concept of out of sight, where the most influential force is unseen, completely captivated him.
That's a powerful idea, the absence of something defining its presence. How did that experience translate into his art?
It was a turning point for him. He began to see space not just as a void,
Right.
but as an active force.
Interesting.
A force that could actually shape perception and create meaning.
So India introduced him to a new way of thinking about space and presence. But he didn't just stay put in India, right?
You're right. His Fulbright allowed him to travel extensively throughout Asia, experiencing diverse cultures and landscapes. We're talking Bangladesh, Istanbul, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Singapore, Indochina, Borneo, Java, Bali, and Japan.
Wow, what an incredible journey. Did any of these experiences directly impact his art? Like that out-of-sight concept from the Sangeet Temple?
Oh, absolutely. One story stands out. He was reading a Time magazine interview with President Johnson about the Vietnam War, right?
Okay.
But at the same time, he was surrounded by, well, mountains of U.S. bombs and military personnel. This stark contrast between the official narrative, and the reality on the ground, it deeply affected him.
I bet.
It fueled his anti-war sentiments and, well, solidified his commitment to challenging established norms through his art.
Wow. That must have been such a powerful moment, seeing the world in a whole new light.
It was. He also had a chance encounter with Yoko Ono and Tony Cox in Japan.
Yoko Ono?
Really? Yes. He witnessed firsthand the struggles artists faced, even those who would later become icons.
It's incredible to think about all these influences shaping his artistic perspective, his childhood, New York, Yale, and now Asia. It seems like he was constantly seeking new experiences.
He was, always seeking new ways of seeing the world.
Yeah. So after a year of intense travel and exploration, he returns to the U.S., ready for the next chapter.
And what awaits him?
Yeah, what happens next?
Academia.
Academia. Really?
At just 24 years old, he becomes the director of the Visual Studies program at Dartmouth College.
Wow. That's quite a shift from globe-trotting artist to art professor.
It is, right. And it was all thanks to a chance encounter with his future father-in-law.
No kidding. So did he embrace academia, or was it a bit of a culture shock?
Well, let's just say he was a bit of a rebel in the academic world, challenging the traditional art school structure, rejecting the commercialization of art.
Sounds about right.
He even invited his artist friends to guest lecture, encouraged his students to think outside the box.
That's so Wunderlich, always challenging conventions. But while navigating the academic world, he also sought a deeper connection with nature, right?
That's right.
He moved to a secluded farm, finding inspiration in the solitude and vastness of nature.
His art from this period really reflects that connection. He created these, well, incredible treasure hunt artworks.
Treasure hunt artwork.
Yeah. They were underground periscopes that offered glimpses of the sky.
Right, he was literally burying his art.
He was, transforming the landscape into an artistic experience.
So he was still pushing boundaries, blurring lines, but this time between art and nature.
Yeah.
Between the seen and unseen.
Exactly. Playing with perception, inviting viewers to reconsider their relationship with the landscape.
It's like he was inviting people to rediscover the world through his art.
Precisely. And this fascination with space, with the unseen, would continue to inform his later, more experimental work. But that is a story for another time.
So last time we were talking about Wunderlich back in the U.S. after his travels.
Right. Embracing his role as an art professor, but at the same time seeking inspiration from nature, out on his farm.
It does seem like a period of contrasts.
It was.
The structured world of academia
Mm-hmm.
versus that freedom he found creating in nature.
I wonder, did those contrasting environments influence his art at all?
Oh, they definitely did. You can actually see those influences in the diversity of his work from this period.
Okay, how so? Well, on one hand, you have those playful, almost childlike treasure hunt artworks.
Right, the periscopes buried in the ground.
Exactly, offering those glimpses of the sky. But then on the other hand, he's diving deep into color theory, experimenting with layered paintings, really pushing the boundaries of what a painting could be.
It sounds like he had these two sides.
He did.
The playful explorer
Mm-hmm.
and the meticulous technician.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. Did those approaches ever merge? Or were they always kind of separate tracks in his creative journey?
I wouldn't say they were separate at all, more like intertwined, informing each other. That meticulous exploration of color theory.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about technical mastery.
That wasn't.
No, it was about pushing the boundaries of perception,
Okay.
creating works that, well, interacted with light and changed throughout the day.
Wait, the paintings actually changed color throughout the day.
They did.
That sounds like magic.
It was kind of magical.
I'm trying to picture it. A gallery setting, the art transforming as the light shifts.
It must have been amazing to see.
How did he even achieve that effect?
It's like imagine painting with light itself.
Okay.
That's what he accomplished.
Wow.
He used special pigments that would absorb light and then, release it slowly,
Interesting.
creating a color that shifted and breathed throughout the day. And the way he built up those paintings, layers upon layers of paint, almost like a sculpture but made out of color. And get this,
Yeah.
he would meticulously peel each dried layer off the glass.
He peeled them off the glass.
He did.
Oh.
Creating these incredibly textured, dimensional pieces.
It's like peeling back time.
It is.
Seeing all those layers of creation at once.
Exactly.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be incredibly fragile? I'd be so nervous around those pieces.
Oh, I know.
And we talk about how he rejected traditional framing.
Right.
So how did he present these pieces?
Well, that's another aspect of his boundary-pushing approach.
Okay, tell me more.
He challenged that traditional hierarchy of a canvas. You know how the back is hidden and the front is prioritized.
Right.
Well, for Wunderlich, the layers, the process, those were the story.
The journey of creation visible in every subtle shift of color and texture?
Exactly. He often presented those peeled layers as individual pieces, sometimes suspended in space. You could see through and around them.
So he was turning the act of creation itself into an art form.
He was always inviting the viewer not just to see the finished product, but to experience the process.
To really engage with it.
Exactly. He constantly questioned assumptions, pushed viewers to reconsider their own perceptions of art. And it wasn't just paint and light either. He incorporated space dust into his work.
Space dust? Are you serious?
I am. And Kodak photographs, too.
It's like he was bringing the cosmos down to Earth.
That's a great way to put it.
What was he trying to convey with that, do you think?
Well, the space dust, it speaks to his lifelong fascination with the universe, and the mysteries of existence. It adds this almost otherworldly dimension to his work.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kodak photographs, they bring in elements of personal memory and cultural history, creating these multi-layered narratives within the artwork.
Weaving together these grand cosmic ideas with intimate personal stories.
That's Wunderlich for you. And that's what makes his work so compelling. It operates on so many different levels,
Right.
inviting viewers to engage on their own terms.
So we've got the color-shifting paintings, the space dust, the peeled layers,
We do.
and a healthy dose of unconventional thinking.
That's an understatement.
But then Wunderlich makes another leap, this time into the world of science and technology. What drew him to MIT's Center for Advanced Visual Studies?
This is where his visionary thinking really takes off.
Okay, tell me more.
He saw the potential of technology to push the boundaries of art,
Right.
to create experiences that were, well, impossible before.
So what was he working on at MIT? Did he build robots that painted or something?
Not quite robots, but just as mind-blowing. One of his most ambitious projects was something called the White Flight Payload. It involved using lasers for interstellar communication.
Interstellar communication. So like sending messages to aliens.
In a way, yes.
How does that even work?
Imagine, shining a laser pointer at the moon.
Okay, yeah.
That's basically what he was doing.
But on a much grander scale.
Exactly.
He wanted to send messages into space using light, a cosmic Morse code.
Yes. It was his way of reaching out to the unknown, of saying hello to the universe.
That's incredible, a cosmic hello from Earth.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. The vastness of space, our place in it all. But did he ever actually get to send his message?
Well, the project was incredibly complex, required collaborating with, astronomers, physicists, engineers.
A lot of moving parts.
There were, and he faced a lot of challenges, but his belief in the power of art
Yeah.
to connect us to the universe never wavered.
It's really amazing how he was able to navigate between such different worlds,
I know.
The world of artistic expression and the world of cutting-edge science.
He really was a visionary. And it wasn't just about sending messages to space either.
Right. He also had that grand vision of creating an artificial aurora borealis.
Imagine that.
I am. An expanse of vibrant colors.
Hundreds of miles in the night sky.
Dancing across the sky.
Like a symphony of light.
Visible from Earth.
That was his dream.
It would be a powerful reminder that we're part of something much larger than ourselves.
It would. But how was he planning to create an artificial aurora borealis?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
It involved lasers, particle beams,
Wow.
atmospheric manipulation.
Sounds complicated.
It was. It required working with, again, top scientists and engineers, really pushing the boundaries of what was even technologically possible at the time.
He was always pushing boundaries, whether in art or science.
Absolutely. And even if his ideas weren't fully realized, they sparked a sense of wonder and possibility.
And that's something, isn't it?
It is. He was constantly asking, what if, and then fearlessly exploring those possibilities. That same spirit of exploration led him to a collaboration on a project that, well, it remains one of his most thought-provoking.
What was it?
The creation of genetically engineered organisms.
Genetically engineered organisms.
Designed to communicate with extraterrestrial life.
Wow. That's another level. I'm picturing little glowing creatures floating through space, sending messages to aliens.
It does sound a bit like science fiction.
It does. But fascinating, and maybe a little bit scary, too.
Definitely. But what was the thinking behind this project?
Yeah, what was the goal?
They wanted to create organisms with unique DNA sequences to act as a kind of interstellar communication.
I see.
Their hope was that these organisms, if they ever encountered extraterrestrial life, could transmit information.
Information about what?
Human culture, art, even our genetic code.
Wow. That's a bold idea. But it does raise some questions, doesn't it?
It does.
Ethical questions. About sending our DNA out into the universe. The risks of contact with unknown life forms.
You're right. It was highly ambitious and potentially controversial.
But it was a testament to his unwavering belief in the power of art, right?
It was. To explore the biggest questions about our place in the universe.
It's amazing how his journey took him from those discarded toilets in a New York studio to the vast possibilities of space exploration.
From the mundane to the cosmic.
But even while reaching for the stars, he never forgot his roots as a painter, did he?
You're absolutely right. Even while exploring cutting-edge technology, he was still creating paintings. Paintings that were both deeply personal and connected to the themes he explored in his more experimental work. He even returned to landscape painting, but he started incorporating a grand piano into his compositions.
A grand piano. What was the thinking behind that?
He saw the piano as a symbol of vastness and exploration.
A grand piano as a symbol of vastness. That's interesting.
Think about those deep resonant tones filling a concert hall.
Okay.
He saw it as a metaphor for the human capacity for creativity and expression, our ability to create something beautiful and meaningful. And by placing that piano within these vast landscapes,
Yeah.
he suggested a connection between the human spirit and the grandeur of nature, the intimate and the infinite.
So he was bringing together all the threads of his artistic journey in those paintings.
He was. His early fascination with space and perception, his explorations of technology, it all comes together. His work, no matter the medium or the subject, always comes back to those core themes: the exploration of boundaries, the interplay of the seen and unseen, the power of art to connect us to something larger than ourselves.
We've been on quite the journey with Al Wunderlich, haven't we?
We have, from his fascination with bartering as a kid to, well, those mind-blowing experiments with art and technology. It's really incredible.
He truly pushed the limits of what art could be, blurring lines between different disciplines, challenging how we see the world.
Yeah.
But it makes you think, what does it all mean? What's his lasting impact?
That's the big question, isn't it? What is the legacy of an artist who was, well, constantly pushing those boundaries, defying easy categorization, embracing the unknown?
It's tough to sum up a career as diverse and innovative as Wunderlich's, but I think there are definitely some recurring themes we've seen.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the most striking things, at least to me, is his constant exploration of boundaries.
The boundaries between what?
Well, art and architecture, for one, art and science, even art and life itself,
Yeah. It's like he challenged us to see connections where we might normally expect divisions.
You got it. He didn't just break down those boundaries either. He almost seemed to revel in that space between them.
That liminal zone.
Exactly. That's where the new possibilities emerge, right?
That makes sense. I mean, think about those treasure hunt artworks, the periscopes he buried in the landscape.
Oh, yeah, those were cool.
They blur the lines between art and nature, between observer and participant. And then you have those layered paintings. They challenge the traditional idea of, well, a canvas.
The front and back.
Yeah, he kind of revealed the entire process of creation as a crucial part of the work.
Right. And of course, there's his work with technology.
Which takes that exploration of boundaries to a whole other level.
Totally. Sending messages into space with lasers.
I still can't get over that one.
Me neither. And that idea of an artificial aurora borealis.
What a concept.
It's all a testament to his incredible imagination. That belief in the power of art to connect us to, well, the universe.
He wasn't afraid to ask big questions, that's for sure.
He wasn't, and to look for answers in some pretty unconventional ways.
But it wasn't always about those grand ideas and futuristic technology either.
No, you're right.
Wunderlich also had a knack for finding magic in the everyday,
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Like those sculptures he made out of, well,
Toilets.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, those were classic Wunderlich.
It's a perfect example of his ability to transform things.
He took something so ordinary, something most people would just throw away,
Right.
and he elevated it, made it art.
He made us question our assumptions about what art could be, where we might find it. It's really inspiring.
It is, isn't it?
It makes you want to go out and create something. Experiment. Just see the world in a new way. What do you think Wunderlich would want people to take away from his work? If he could tell us himself.
That's a tough one. But I think he would want us to embrace curiosity, to question conventions, to never stop exploring. I see his art as an invitation to see the world differently.
To find beauty in unexpected places.
Yes. And to believe in the power of human creativity to, well, connect us to something larger than ourselves.
It's a good reminder that the only limit is our own imagination.
That's a powerful legacy.
It really is. So I say we go out there and create something amazing, something that pushes those boundaries, sparks conversations, and maybe makes the world a little bit more beautiful and a little bit more strange. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Al Wunderlich.
It's been a pleasure exploring his work with you.